clamoring to get into McEwen Pavilion tonight. It's Australia Day. They are clamoring to get into McEwen Pavilion tonight. It is Australia Day here in Moraga, California, celebrating the many Australian players that have paraded through the St. Mary's basketball program. And tonight, the Gales play host to BYU in a West Coast Conference tilt. St. Mary's riding a 14-game win streak, including a road win at the Kennel over Gonzaga last week, sitting alone in first. Okay, sorry, was that too fast? Do I need to slow that down? Okay. Sounds good.
Mic check, baby. 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Farnham, 10.
He's echoing in my headset.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got echo as well.
Test, 1, 2, 3. Test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How are we coming through? We're coming through all right?
Yeah, you're not echoing in my ear anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Farnham, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. Hopscotch is a fun game to play at school at recess and lunch.
Unique New York.
I like scotch.
Sure.
Yes. All right, sounds good.
Okay. Is it all right if I intro that Australia Day thing since they're holding up the... Okay. Yeah.
National Player of the Year candidate. I have a vote for the Wooden Award. He is on my list for the midseason top 25. He'll be on my list when it whittles it back down. His numbers nationally, you see on your screen, he leads the conference in all 3 of those statistical categories. The only player in the country to have those 3 in particular categories that they lead. And he does it in such an efficient manner. Coach Rose told us, listen, he's patient enough where he'll get the ball 30 to 40 times in the course of the game and only take 15 shots. They play through him all night long. He's the key component to everything that works offensively for the Gales.
He might be the best player in the country that very few have heard about because of the time zone, playing a lot of late games, at least according to those watching on the East Coast. You got to get to know this guy, Jock Landale.
Hey, look, Jay Billis wrote an article this week, said if you don't know Jock Landale, you should. And here's a great opportunity against a very good BYU team. And the last time out against BYU, he had a monster game, 31 points. 13 rebounds in the first meeting. He'll look to replicate those numbers tonight at home.
St. Mary's won that game in overtime. That was back on December 30th. And so the Cougars, they come into McEwen Pavilion with a little vengeance in mind for sure, shooting just 2 of 9 in that overtime period. They felt like they let one go.
Well, they've got 2 guys that they can really rely on in Bryant and Childs, and they do it in a little bit of a different variety. Childs is going to work down low on the block and look to be aggressive and attack the rim. Shoots 53% from the field. You see the numbers as far as points per game. Bryant, you've got to stay attached to, in particular from the outside. 44% shooting from beyond the arc.
How about Elijah Bryant, though, one of 2 players in college, 50% field goal, 40% three-point range, 90% from the free throw line.
That's efficiency, my friend.
That is pretty unbelievable. And so this is an opportunity for him individually. We talk about Jock Landale and his candidacy for National Player of the Year, certainly the favorite for West Coast Conference Player of the Year. This is an opportunity for Bryant to maybe make some noise in that regard.
That's true, and it's more importantly for BYU, it's trying to get a get-back game. You know, they really felt like they should have won the one at home. Now you got to try to get the get back on the road. And if you want to have a chance to win a conference championship, somebody's got to put a blemish on the Gales record first. Might as well try to be you on their home floor.
Gales 19-2 overall. BYU 17-4, 6-2 as mentioned in the West Coast Conference. Australia Day. It is the official national holiday in Australia. Of course, that takes place January 26th. So they're in Australia right now. It is the 26th, hence the celebration here at McEwen. 6 players from down under aligning this Gales roster, but it will be BYU controlling on the first possession.
Well, and it's my uncle Jim who lives there, and my 3 cousins that are also living in Australia and have been since 1996. So happy Australian Day to them.
Zach Celius taking the
first
first
know that, did you?
attempt. I did not know that.
Come on, family connections everywhere. I go worldwide.
Yeah, we're close to where you grew up over here. Up and under move here by Calvin Hermanson.
Good job going through Hermanson. Cleared out space on the block and a beautiful up and under. Reading where the defense is, trying to get them to lean and step underneath.
Hermanson second on the team, averaging just over 12 points per game. Little pick and roll action, Yoli Childs, and we got a whistle.
Yeah, late reaction by Krebs on the back line. He was a step slow, and because of that, Childs gets fouled and will go to the free throw line. Now they're not giving him that on the shot? I thought that was on the shot partner.
It's going to be a foul against Tanner Krebs, and yeah, they will inbound the ball. Randy Bennett, head coach for St. Mary's, says BYU is probably the best in the conference at scoring off of inbound plays.
Yeah, but they would have rather preferred to have the opportunity to score at the free throw line right there.
Here's Bryant. Lost the dribble, found Celius, who goes glass.
And Bryant kind of got out of control, out of position, but still able to find Celius and allow him to finish. Poor defense that time by the Gales, in particular in the help side.
Left corner 3. Here's Krebs. That one rattles in and out. St. Mary's shooting 41% as a squad from beyond the property line. It's Childs again. The smooch off the window.
But they're late getting to him. They put him that on-ball screen. He slips that screen. And again, rotation, you've got to meet him a step outside the paint. If he gets to the paint without you doing anything, it's an easy bucket, just like that one was.
Same goes for that guy, Jock Landale. You will see jump hooks all night long from this guy.
I like jump hooks. Do you like jump hooks?
Hey,
I'm a fan.
Especially when they go in.
It's a great crowd, great environment as always. And the WCC has some of the best home environments in the country.
And that's a nice looking stroke from Elijah Bryant, 6'5", 210 junior. Started his career at Elon before transferring over to BYU. Had an injury-plagued season a year ago. In fact, re-injured his knee in the West Coast Conference tournament game against St. Mary's. He says that he actually considered possibly quitting basketball altogether. Felt like the injuries were just becoming too much to handle. And here he is now, one of the best in the league.
Well, BYU wouldn't be where they are without him. I mean, we talked about his efficiency off the top, but he just opens up the floor for everyone else.
Here's Emmett Narr.
Beautiful pass.
Landale bobbled it, but a whistle against the Cougars. It's going to go against Jashir Hardnett, 6-foot sophomore.
It's amazing. You talk about Narr and his level of consistency. He might beat Dellavedova's record. He's certainly on pace to as far as career assists go. And nobody even talks about him because Jock has garnered that much attention. And oh, by the way, there's another guy by the name of Trae Young.
Here is Landale. Spins to the baseline, goes off the glass with the left hand this time. Bryant gets it back to Childs. Goes cross court. This is TJ Hawes coming off of a couple of strong performances. Hardnett.
And that's a shot he's going to have to make tonight because they're going to try to pinch off of him a little bit. They know he can shoot it. But there's so many good scorers for BYU that if Childs needs help or there's dribble penetration, they're probably going to pinch off of Hardnett.
BYU shooting 38% from outside the arc as a team. Hardnett 37. Here's Narr. Finds Krebs for 3. Got it. Dave Rose in his 13th season looking on from the BYU bench. How about this start? How about this environment at McEwen? And there's Childs up close. He is a force down low.
Well, and they've got to try to make him a little bit more uncomfortable than they have in the early stages of this game. Both Landale and Childs off to a good start, which means fun for you and I, but for both coaches, they talk about that shoot around. They talk about with their team trying to limit their touches, trying to make things difficult on them, and it hasn't been.
Well, we got a repost here to Landale. Up and under move. Wow.
And you want to know if you can play at the next level, and there's doubt on whether or not people might think that. Erase all doubt. Do you see that move? That's a pro move right there.
A bit of a throwback player, perhaps, in this day and age of the perimeter-oriented game, but most certainly he has the ability to dominate. Childs trying to go right back at him. Open look. Way long out of the palm of Jordan Ford, but another possession here for St. Mary's.
Got to finish off first possession defense. Very important for BYU. St. Mary's is so efficient offensively, you cannot afford to give them second chances.
Nar to Landale. A little thunder from down under. And already 8 points for Jock Landale. Goes out of bounds. 14:45 left to play in the first half. Landale as advertised, Sean.
Yeah, it's the duo, though. It's Nar's ability to break down the defense, draw the attention, movement without the ball, and then when you have one of the best players in the country, your offense looks really good.
(13-12) St. Mary's leading here for the first time. 14:45 left to play in the first half in this West Coast Conference tilt. Alongside Sean Farnham, I'm Kanoa Leahy. We have our Australian delicacies in front of us. These meat pies, these look delicious.
They do look good. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try it. I don't know how to do this, but
yeah,
you know,
I think you just do it. Yeah. Someone has to talk, so I'll hang on here. Jock Landale, 4 for 4 here to start the game, Sean.
No, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Like me eating on television is what I needed to do. And what Jock Landale needs to do is continue to shoot the ball well. 75% shooting so far by the Gales. Not to be outdone, though. BYU sitting there staring at them right in their eye going, guess what? We're shooting 73% from the field now. Elijah
Bryant hitting
pretty good.
That mid-ranger. Hey, do what you will with that. I got it covered.
I might eat the rest of it.
And again, they go into Landale.
He's a good guy to go to. Give it back to him. If he didn't lose his balance there, that would have been 2.
5 to shoot. Nar lost balance. Landale. Someone's got a hoist. He does. Hits the front iron. BYU controls.
Not the strength of his game. And Nar's got to be a little bit stronger with it in recognizing what the shot clock is and where he's putting his teammates in what position.
Celius tried to go over that left shoulder, rebound off to Landale. Hermanson for 3, rattles in and out. Hermanson shooting 45% from three-point land. Here's Hardnett, hit one earlier.
Both these coaches so good teaching their teams how to play offense the way that they want them to. And that's why it's no surprise to see the shooting percentage is high early in this game.
Hermanson, another look. Every player on the roster for St. Mary's that has attempted at least 2 3-point field goals this season is shooting no lower than 36%. 3 from straight on. BYU not too shabby either. Zach Celius, he shot about 50% from outside the arc last season as a freshman. 34% coming into tonight.
I did a game the other night. They scored 6 points in the first 10 minutes. One team. These guys are shooting the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they are spacing it. They are playing fast. It's perimeter-oriented basketball. Haas slipped and fell.
We got under 10 to shoot here on this possession for St. Mary's. Nar will try. And Hawes collects the rebound. Now into the post it goes. Luke Worthington tries the jump hook. Offensive board, Celius. The follow-up. And Landale sends it ahead to Nar.
Look at that pass. Oh, I mean, you're talking high-level point guard that just understands exactly where his big is going to be and how to set the table for him. Emmett Nar putting on a clinic.
And that results in the 9th and 10th points of the night already for Jock Landale. But Emmett Nar averaging 9.1 assists per game. That is second nationally behind, you mentioned the name earlier, Trae Young.
Trae Young's just an electrifying player. We saw how he's able to change his game last time out against Kansas, a big home win in Norman, Oklahoma for the Norman native. They have Australian Day here. Maybe they'll have Norman, Oklahoma Day there. If they can keep all talent that's like Trae Young close, I guarantee you they will.
Trying to post up Landale again, and we got a foul against Worthington.
Well, Emmett Nar, second in the nation in assists per game. Going to be #1 all time in St. Mary's, and you just feel understanding spacing, getting the defense to react and setting up your teammate, making it easy.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Introducing the $5 All-Star Meals. There's no better way to spend $5.
You see some of the lineage of Australian players. Patty Mills, Matthew Dellavedova, now Jock Landale, one of 6 from down under on this year's St. Mary's squad. It goes back to shortly after Randy Bennett was hired in 2001. Acted on a tip from one of his coaching friends. Basically, sight unseen, offered a scholarship to Adam Capehorn. He was a standout at the Australian Institute of Sport. He boomeranged his 2 years with the Gales into a professional career, and that sort of got that pipeline going. Tipped off the coaching staff on several other recruits who had come, and now it seems to be one of the key recruiting advantages for Randy Bennett in this program. As you see the 3 go down by another Aussie, Emmett Nar.
We got 17 made field goals and 14 assists on that. That's the 2 teams combined. 17 made field goals, 14 assists. You think they're playing unselfish basketball, spacing the floor brilliantly, executing exactly the way that you want.
Worthington in traffic, another rebound for Landale. 10 points, 3 boards here for Jock Landale.
I love good basketball. This is really good basketball right now by both teams.
Cullen Neal, number 44, on the floor for St. Mary's. Hermanson, tough drive.
Getting back to the assist numbers. Yeah, 5 assists already by Nar. Every player that has been on the floor for BYU has an assist.
Long rebound to Neal. Neal, who has toured college basketball, tried to challenge Childs and is rudely met at the rim.
Started at New Mexico, then went to Ole Miss, now ends up here. Should be noted, by the way, he originally committed to St. Mary's out of high school prior to going to play for his dad after Steve Alford left and went to UCLA.
There's a steal by Hermanson, saves it along the baseline, but BYU retains possession. And the officiating crew will stop the action. Gregory Nixon, Tom O'Neill, Kelly Pfeiffer, the officiating trio here this evening. So with the stoppage, Sub coming in for St. Mary's, Evan Fitzner, number 21. There's a good look at Randy Bennett in his 17th year. Signed a new 10-year contract in November, which will take him through the 2026-27 season. I mean, that's John Gruden-like, the length of that deal.
Not John Gruden-like as far as money in that deal, though. I mean, I think the athletic department wants to make sure that's clear. Yeah, from a 10-year, $100 million contract, I think there's a lot of coaches that say, I'll take that. Moraga's beautiful.
Landale dumps it off to Fitzner, and he gets blocked out of bounds by Dalton Nixon. Nixon, a 6'7" sophomore from Orem, Utah. Did not play for 11 games, including the first meeting with St. Mary's. Made his return against San Diego the other night, but he is...
Look, I used to cover the WCC consistently. I've been out doing the SEC now for the last couple of years. I'll tell you, one of the things that makes both these programs great, as well as Gonzaga, is consistency at the head coaching position. Consistency in the staff, having people around you who you know and you trust, having a clear sense of your identity of who you are as a team, and then executing that idea on a year-in, year-out basis. And that's why Randy's had success here more so in changing the culture of St. Mary's than anybody. That's why Coach Rose continues to flourish at BYU, and Mark Few took his team to the Final Four last season.
BYU started 7 of 11 in this first half, since 1 of 6. But that'll up the percentage just a tad as McKay Cannon, a transfer from Weber State, able to finish at the rim.
And people talk about how difficult it is to win, and there's been a lot of turnover at every other school outside of the 3 schools I just mentioned.
Cullen Neal for 3. It is flowing right now for the Gales offensively from downtown.
But it's recruiting to who you are. It's knowing that, finding shooters, finding guys that can space the floor. It's not just the Australian connection. And the same goes for BYU, finding guys that understand the culture of your program.
Hawes, the step back, can't get the bounce. Rebound off to Landale.
Most importantly, Nar is limping up the floor. And that step back, you see him kind of limping his way through this offensive possession. That's something we're going to be watching for sure.
Not a guy who spends a lot of time off the floor, averaging almost 38 minutes a game.
The sub is going to be coming in for him quickly. He's calling for it.
Under 10 to shoot here on this possession. Neal lost the dribble, lost his balance, last touched out of town by BYU. And yeah, this is now a major storyline here for St. Mary's. Emmett Nar limping to the bench.
One single day, 2 power conferences, 10 games with new stars, familiar legends, and epic matchups, all for bragging rights. The Big 12 SEC Challenge on ESPN this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, that's going to be a lot of fun. Big 12 SEC Challenge, a lot of matchups to discuss for sure, and look forward to here in just a couple of days. But St. Mary's now preparing perhaps to go forward in this game for some time without the services of their assist machine, Emmett Nar.
Well, Emmett Nar on that previous possession, you're going to watch him defensively, watch his left ankle. It rolls right underneath him. And he limped his way through that final possession, then took himself off the floor, and he is not actively on the bench.
1 second on the shot clock off of the inbound after the timeout, and it was Jordan Ford trying a desperation heave. It got blocked.
A little different with Nar not on the floor. Changes the complexion of Randy Bennett's offense. Tony Bennett also doing a great job at Virginia, by the way. No relation. Of course, locals here in the Bay Area say Tony Bennett's a singer.
Also no relation.
Right.
Here's Childs in low, and there's a steal by Jordan Ford.
Got to slow down a little bit right now. Going a little bit too fast is Ford. Allow Landale to set the screen and then play off of it.
Here's Landale getting position, missed the bunny. Was caught a little too far underneath the rim. Hawes lost it. Neal coming out of there with it. It's a foot race with Childs. Reverse lay-in.
Cullen Neal decides, you know what, I want the degree of difficulty to be a little higher on this one. Should have finished it with his right. Instead, he brings it back underneath. I think that caught Childs a little bit out of sorts and confused, and able to finish at the opposite end and then complete the three-point play. A nice job, nice touch by the graduate transfer.
Cullen Neal looking like Curly Neal with the basketball there. It's 29-21. St. Mary's on top. 3 ball off the heel by Dalton Nixon, offensive board for Hawes. And a little dysfunction offensively the last couple of trips for BYU.
And they get back to how they were playing earlier. I look to get Childs the ball down low on the block here. And he's floating on the outside.
He'll try a 3. Doesn't take a bunch of those. He can hit though, but off the mark there.
Again, I want him underneath. I want him applying some pressure. With the way Jock has started this game, I'm going right into his body, and I'm going to try to force these officials to make calls against him.
Jordan Ford strikes again. A timeout taken by BYU. A 13-2 Gale run.
Space the floor, able to finish inside. Get you on ice skates. The floor spacing superb, and the Gale's offense efficient.
Tip off your weekend with our star-studded NBA Friday matchup as the Rockets battle the Pelicans in the Big Easy. Our coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 p.m. on ESPN and the ESPN app.
How about the game Boogie had earlier this week?
Oh, boy.
Over 40, 24 rebounds, triple-double for him. Historic numbers. See, that's where I want Childs. I told you. Get him down low on the block. Set a screen, roll him down there, post him up. Doesn't matter. He is at his best when he's underneath.
You see Emmett Nahr left the game with an apparent ankle injury. He's behind the bench. Looks like he's just trying to loosen it up. Neal, an open look from the left corner. It'll be Ford.
It was good zone defense that time by BYU. Changing it up out of the timeout.
Bryant, quick trigger. Hits nothing. And we're going to have a foul against Yoli Childs, jockeying for position underneath.
Second personal foul for Childs. He'll get pulled out of the game by Coach Rose. And you can ill afford to have him on the bench for a long period of time. You got 4 minutes and 46 seconds. A lot of coaches, they don't like to play a guy with 2 fouls in the first half. They like sit him and try to save him for the second half.
Childs leaves with 6 points. And now we are seeing Emmett Nahr making his way to the official scorers table to check back into the game. So BYU not exactly taking advantage of the time Nahr spent off the floor.
And that's because I think they settled from beyond the arc. And they didn't utilize their strength, which was Childs underneath, and now he's out in foul trouble. They take him out. Offensively, you look to go to Bryant here. Ball's back in his hands.
Celius. Hardnett caught underneath, has to reset it. Tense shoot. Hardnett in traffic gets fouled, and we are about to witness the first free throws of the game for BYU.
First free throws of the game for either team. Actually, no, Cullen Neal had 1. Excuse me. But you know what? Here's the thing. I look at this team right now that's on the floor for BYU, and I want Hawes and Bryant becoming the guys that I'm going to play through. And I think right now Bryant in particular has been a little bit too passive. Some of that is the defense in which St. Mary's being there. They're doing a good job being there on the catch. But he's got to force the issue a little bit off those screens and try to at least get downhill and then pass it in, cut, move, space back out, and find his rhythm and shot.
Hardnett able to close the gap to a half dozen. Hermanson spots up. Can't hit. But Nahr still appearing to move very gingerly on that ankle.
And if you're Hawes, you've got to see that, and you've got to look to attack.
Bryant hearing it after that last air ball from the crowd. And he gets fouled on the drive. 3:37 left to play. The foul will go against Calvin Hermanson. And it's 31-25. St. Mary's on top at home. Saturday on ESPN, it's the 5th annual Big 12 SEC Challenge. Freshman phenom Trae Young leading Oklahoma against Alabama at 2:15 p.m. 4:30, Texas A&M takes on Kansas. At 7, it's Kentucky versus West Virginia. All games are on ESPN and on the ESPN app. What'd you think about Trae Young and the adjustments he made the other night for Oklahoma in that win against Kansas?
I think he's fine. I thought he was fine against Oklahoma State, too, to be honest with you. I mean, Lon Kruger turned the keys over to the engine and said, go ahead, kid. Took them all the way to number 4 in the country before they lost those 2 games last week. I think sometimes we tend to overreact when a team has success. We build them up too high, and then when they struggle a little bit, we hit the panic button. No need to panic. Beautiful pass, by the way.
Unable to finish, though, was Bryant.
How about 16 assists to only 5 turnovers in this game for these two teams? Been a very clean first half.
We've only seen 3 free throws in this half. That's how clean it's been. Here's Emmett Narr, if you're just joining us. Looked like he tweaked an ankle earlier in the half. Was on the sideline for a while. Jock Landale getting loose for another bucket. Well, we're seeing Emmett Narr gutting it out right now, Sean.
And as long as he's passing the ball, he's just fine, even on 1 foot.
Here's a takeaway. Trying to clear space here for Landale. Ten to shoot. Ford throws it away. BYU with the numbers. Hawes. Hard drive, doesn't get the roll. Frustrating first half so far for TJ Hawes. And we'll have a foul called against the Gales, an offensive foul against Calvin Hermanson.
I want to take you back, though, a couple of possessions ago and the offense and how you get Jock Landale open. It's isolation basketball. He's going to come up and set the screen. Now, as we look, you've got 1, 2 players going with the ball. That means this is the player that's going to have to make a decision. Does he close out to the shooter or does he stay underneath? He closes out to the shooter, and when you do that, you dump it down to the big fella, and they're able to finish. And that's as you want. The one thing you want to do as a coach offensively, and both these coaches do a nice job of it, try to get the defense chasing and then try to isolate somebody to have to guard 2. And when they're guarding 2, find the mistake, find the open player, and give them a chance.
Hawes got blocked by Landale. Open for 3, though, in the corner. And how about that for a quick response? First points of the game for TJ Hawes.
Well, you talked about how well he's playing as of late. 3 20-plus point games, including a season-high tying 24 last time out against USD.
Only had 7 in the first meeting against St. Mary's. It was 3 of 10 from the field, and a bit of a slow start offensively once again for him. But you look up at the scoreboard, it's just a 5-point game with a minute and a half to go in the first frame.
Now you go back to the last possession. Hawes drives the lane. Too often when you get a shot block, you hang your head, you feel depressed, you're like, oh my gosh, I just got my shot blocked. He didn't. Instead, he stayed with it, created a shot opportunity, and while St. Mary's, they didn't play the whistle. They're sitting there pointing at the ground saying, he stepped out. Hey, if the official doesn't call it, it doesn't matter what you think. You just gave up an open look.
And a 5-second violation on the inbound called against the Gales. So BYU riding an 8-2 run, looking to close this first half strong.
Really impressed with BYU. Out of bounds underneath, good defense like that. Now they got to make them pay. Capitalize on the rare turnover, dead ball turnover.
Talk about the hot streak of the Gales. They've won 14 in a row. BYU's won 4 straight. That one rims out on Hawes. They don't want to see another win streak end at the hand of St. Mary's. They had won 9 in a row the first time these two teams met in December, and we're going to have a foul called against Landale in the post, and Randy Bennett is none too happy about it. That's his first.
Well, he had his elbows up high, and the defensive player was trying to slide away underneath it. Contact to the face. And again, you've got to be careful in the post position, how the way they're calling it. You extend out your arms, you start to reach a little bit with your upper body. The officials are going to draw the attention.
Under a minute to play here in the first frame. Bryant on the baseline, tough finish.
Love that aggressiveness. That's where he needs to stay. He can get to the rim in this contest. I think he has an advantage on size, strength. Create an angle, create a seam, and tack it.
He's got 9. Landale got it stripped by Hawes. Great hands by TJ Hawes, the sophomore.
All right, now there's only 2-second differential. I would wait and take the last second. You don't want to give too much time to St. Mary's. I'd go with about 5 seconds left to go on the shot clock.
A minimal differential on the scoreboard.
Here comes the screen. They're going to go at 5.
Hardnett can't finish. Rebound Neal. And he gets fouled by Hardnett with 2.3 on the clock.
It's not a big deal. Why? Because it's not one-on-one. So it's actually smart. All right, so it stops the ball, forces them to go all the way down the other end.
Coming up on the Land Rover halftime report, Big Ten thriller. Plus Arizona gets some revenge. Inbound goes to Nar. He's going to hoist from half court. And that's how the first 20 come to a close. St. Mary's will take a 3-point lead into the break, Sean.
Really impressed, though, by BYU. They were down, they took a punch, they responded, and because of that, they take momentum with them, even though they have the deficit.
In Moraga, California, St. Mary's up 33-30. Stay with us for the Land Rover halftime report after these messages. Welcome back to Moraga, California. Look at the Bay Bridge here on this beautiful evening. It is St. Mary's, 16th ranked in the country, up 3 on BYU, although the Gales went scoreless the last 3:07 of the first half. Hence a pretty tight ball game here at the intermission. Taking a look at the first half statistics from the field, St. Mary's shooting 52%, but how about just 3 free throw attempts between both teams?
Yeah, really clean half. You look at the number of fouls, and all 11 fouls total called in the first half. One of them was a give-me-away foul at the end of the half. What impressed me most for BYU is they seized control with Childs on the bench. Childs goes to the bench with 4:46 left to go. They go on a 7-2 run.
Yeah, alongside Sean Farnham, I'm Kanoa Leahy, and we knew the game plan for St. Mary's night in and night out is to try to get it into Jock Landale. He did not disappoint in that first half. 12.7 rebounds.
No, he was outstanding in the first half. He has more energies than these guys behind me. They stopped. Did you notice that? They didn't cheer all the way through. What's up with that? Anyways, Jock Landale, he's got skills. So many people talk about getting over his left shoulder. Well, now you got to he's developed his right shoulder. He's comfortable spinning either way, and he showed off the repertoire in the first half. 6 of 8. All of his shots pretty much primarily coming from 3 feet and in. One of his misses was a 3 late in the shot clock, but setting screens, rolling directly to the rim. He had a beautiful up and under as well, a near double-double at the break. He's well on pace to have another one again.
BYU, though, outscored St. Mary's 7-2 over the last 4:46 of the first half, and that was with Yoli Childs on the bench with the 2 fouls.
Yep, and I think that's what gives them momentum coming out of the break. I mean, you look at Elijah Bryant, he ends up 4 of 6 with 9 points. And I look for him to be the mismatch here in the second half. I think he can assert himself more, play a little bit more aggressive in finding his shot, attacking and drawing contact.
Well, we comment about the footwork of Jock Landale. It is Australia Day here at McEwen Pavilion, and we are told that Jock's youth basketball coach, going back to when he was 8 years old, Simon Giovannoni, is here in the crowd somewhere. He is a guy who worked with him when he was a youngster all the way through with the Victorian under-20 team, when he and Jock won a national championship. And in fact, when Landale goes back to Australia, he still works with him and is a technical coach, and part of the reason why his footwork is so darn good.
Is he available for hire?
Yeah, no kidding.
Son.
Good drive there by Bryant.
That's what I talked about, though, just seconds ago. He's got to drive. He's got to get to the rim. St. Mary's doesn't have somebody with his size and athleticism that can stand in front of him on any level of consistency.
Emmett Nar turns it over. Here's Hawes against Hermanson, able to finish off the glass, and BYU has reclaimed the lead.
And look at the point of emphasis, though. They start with the lineup that they had at the end of the first half. Childs still on the bench, but a point of emphasis for Coach Rose out of the break. Get to the cup. First 2 possessions, driving from the perimeter.
And we got a foul against BYU against Landale in the post.
And I love Elijah Bryant and the potential that he has as a player. And this is what we didn't see a lot of in the first half. He received the screen in the first half. He backed away. This time he waited. He was patient. He saw the seam and then attacked it.
BYU enjoying its first lead since it was 19-18 Cougars in the first half. By the way, Luke Worthington picking up the foul, his 3rd in that last sequence. Here's another takeaway. Hardnett on the dribble for the Cougars. Celius got fouled by Hermanson. And that is Hermanson's 3rd foul. How about BYU doing a lot of this, getting back into the picture and then taking the lead with one of their stars, Yoli Childs, on the bench?
Well, we mentioned it. Going to halftime, they were playing with more confidence. They were the team that was starting to be more aggressive, and that has continued out of the break. And for St. Mary's, you've got to recognize now what BYU is trying to do. They're trying to get into the blue area of the floor and score. So collapse, then recover, and get out to shooters.
Celius goes 1 of 2 from the line. What a novelty. Free throws here early in the second half. Celius, by the way, he's got a bone to pick with these St. Mary's Gales as we have a whistle away from the basketball. It's going to go against Worthington again. That is his 4th personal foul. So a couple of quick ones there, but it was Celius who had an open look from the right corner at the end of regulation in that first meeting back in December. Would have won the game. Instead, he missed it. It goes to overtime. St. Mary's wins by 10.
And what did Coach Rose tell you about that? You asked him if that was a good look, and what was his response?
I would like to see Eli maybe try to take it to the 10.
Yeah.
Dave Rose in his 13th season.
I have so much respect for Coach Rose and his program, and covering this conference for about 5 years. Got to know him extremely well and his staff, and he's just done a tremendous job. You go back to his playing career and all the success that he's had, but more importantly, the success he's had as a coach. And in program history, you take a look at the active winning percentage for all the coaches. It's a great list. A lot of Hall of Famers already on that list.
So a foul called against Hardnett, and before St. Mary's can inbound the basketball, a foul against the Gales.
You know, he's got to do a difficult job with just managing his roster, because you sign guys and a lot of times they go on their mission and then they return back from their mission 2 years later. So he's got a spreadsheet. He showed it to me a couple of years ago where, you know, you're signing kids and you're not getting them to 2020 right now.
Bryant leaving it short from 3.
And so you've got to make sure your scholarship numbers add up. You got to make sure that your positioning lines up.
There's an and 1 by Emmett Narr. That one lined up pretty nice for him.
And Narr taking a page out of what BYU's been able to do. The first half, a little change of pace. You know, so much of guard play now, especially in particular at the youth level, they always talk about, oh, you know, he's got great first step, that burst ability. What's your burst ability? You didn't see a lot of burst out of Narr there. What you saw was changing of pace. Start at a 6, stop, get it all the way down to a 0, then go to like a 5, and you're still able to create separation because you're changing the pace. And that's the most important thing for young guards to understand.
Narr missing the free throw, so we are tied at 35. Under 17 and a half to play here in this ball game. Hawes blows right past Narr. Maybe that ankle playing a factor there.
I thought they should have tried to exploit that when he came back in the game in the first half.
Hawes, a preseason All-West Coast Conference selection, was a first-teamer at the end of last year, and there's Landale getting stripped and fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. We're going to give this one to Celius.
Well, watch Hawes, a little hesitation, crossover. Where's the help? I mean, everybody's just staying attached to their man, and what happens is you lose gap principle. And what I mean by that is you start creating large seams and holes in your defense if you're just hugging your man wherever they are on the floor. you can get beat off the bounce, but you better help and you better put out that fire. And St. Mary's right now isn't rotating over. And if I'm BYU, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Much has been said here over the course of Mark Few and Randy Bennett's respective tenures at Gonzaga and St. Mary's about that duel at the top of this conference. BYU is knocking on the door. They're trying to be sort of the third member of that annual championship contendership.
I think they've been that. I really do. And, you know, when they made the transition, and I was here when they made the transition from the Mountain West Conference. Mountain West Conference is a one-bid league, and it's been that way for the last couple of seasons. WCC is not that. Beautiful step through.
Unable to hit his Hawes, gets his own board, shovels it to the freshly inserted Yoli Childs, who finishes up close.
I think BYU's been there, though, Kanoa. I just think that their fan base really thought when they came over to the WCC originally, we've had so much success in the Mountain West, it's going to be a smooth transition for us. It's been a little bit more difficult than they thought because, guess what? St. Mary's is really good. Gonzaga is one of the elite programs in all of college basketball year in and year out. So that's why you see multiple bids often in the WCC.
Fresh off the three-pointer made by Jordan Ford, a traveling violation against Hawes. And yeah, look at the Cougars. They logged a win at the Kennel in each of the last 2 seasons. Yet to play Gonzaga here this year in WCC play. But yeah, I would say that that is evidence that they are right there, if not yet considered among the annual championship contenders. I think they're right there. Deep three, off the mark by Krebs.
Bryant attack. Someone's come set a screen for him. Childs elevate up. They're setting a screen, but it's not for Bryant.
Childs. That may have gotten partially blocked by Landale. Here's Nar, the drive. The ankle looking all right on that sequence, Sean. 9 points for Emmett Nar. There's a block by Landale. St. Mary's looking to push. How about the battle down low between Dalton Nixon and Jock Landale? Left corner three, Krebs.
That's where Nar excels. He draws two and he kicks or he dishes underneath. It just matters where the help comes from. He's going to make you pay, and he's going to open up the offense for his teammate.
An 8-0 St. Mary's burst. Good position there by Dalton Nixon. Back from the foot injury. Dave Rose telling us that he is likely to get more significant minutes tonight. That's what we're saying.
Let's go, Gale! Let's go, Gale! Let's go, Gale!
14-minute mark here of the second half. Five seconds to shoot. It's Nar on the baseline. Got it to Landale. Got blocked by Childs. And that'll be a shot clock violation. 45-41, St. Mary's by 4. But BYU not making it easy. So here's the aforementioned triumvirate at the top of the West Coast Conference, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, and BYU. And the head-to-head remaining games, St. Mary's already with the win in Spokane last week. They still have to play Gonzaga one more time. Well, Gonzaga up big on the road against Portland tonight, by the way.
Yeah, you just see why this is so important for BYU in particular, because they're the team that has 2 losses, and they're looking up at the other 2. They get this win against St. Mary's, that would give them their first blemish, and they would get the one back here at home. I mean, on the road for BYU and at home for St. Mary's. And then you've got Gonzaga twice. So if you get a sweep, if you're able to protect your home court there, now all of a sudden it opens up a window of opportunity for you as the Zags still have to come down here on February 10th. I'm excited. I'm going to be back for that one. I'll be in this chair in what is one of the best rivalries in all of college basketball.
I don't know if they'll have the meat pies waiting for you.
No, we won't have meat pies. We'll have something else, I'm sure, for that day.
St. Mary's with the possession here. It's Hermanson, the kick, left corner three for Ford. Last touched out of bounds by Hermanson. Randy Bennett entered this season extremely excited about his team's expectations, preseason pick to win the West Coast Conference. This despite all the success that Gonzaga realized as the national runner-up a year ago. Nice finish there in front by Childs.
Great hands defensively that time, almost coming out with a steal after the made shot, but Childs finding himself in a much better position to be effective and make an impact at the offensive end.
Landale ISO'd against Nixon. Here comes the double. They just flash it, so he goes to work.
And that's where I think you see maturity and growth in his game, is how patient he is with his back to the basket. He doesn't feel like on the catch he's got to put it down. So many young bigs put the ball down, then pick it up, and then get caught with really no shot, and then they're getting squeezed out because the guards have already recovered the shooters.
Here he is now D'ing up against Childs, who got the move on him. Nice battle brewing there between the two bigs.
You know what I love there? Is that Childs went over his right shoulder and aggressively went to the rim. Usually when he goes over his right shoulder, he's going to go with a little bit of a fadeaway jump shot. That time he goes to the right shoulder and finishes at the glass.
Krebs wide open in the corner for three. Pause, a little show and go. Nice finger roll action.
Although his points, you know, when we talked to Dave Rose, he said, you know, people evaluate a lot of times players just simply based on points. He goes, if you look at Haas from where he was a year ago to where he's at right now, he has dramatically improved in all phases of the game, in particular at the defensive end of the floor. He knows what his role is. He knows he has scorers around him. He doesn't force the action.
5 to shoot. Krebs has to force the action. Misses from up close. BYU can tie it with a 3. Bryant the drive. Lost it out of bounds. And it belongs to the home team. St. Mary's by 3. Under 11 to play here at McEwen.
One single day, 2 power conferences, 10 games with new stars, familiar legends, and epic matchups, all for bragging rights. The Big 12 SEC Challenge on ESPN this Saturday.
A lot of great games. I can't wait for mine. I'll be at A&M and Kansas. This one, though, has a matchup between 2 of the very best point guards in the country. They just happen to be freshmen. Colin Sexton just returned from an abdominal injury. Did not play well the other night in their loss against Ole Miss. Trae Young, the numbers speak for themselves. He leads the nation in points per game and assists per game. His turnovers have been a little higher as of late. Alabama trying to secure its resume in the NCAA tournament. A win against Oklahoma really helped solidify seeding process for the Crimson Tide. Going to be a good contest. And Colin Sexton, he's played against Trae Young on the AAU circuit. He's played against him on the All-Star, McDonald's All-American game. They know each other extremely well. That's going to be a great individual matchup to watch in that contest.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This has turned into a lot of fun here at McEwen Pavilion. BYU and St. Mary's battle in the West Coast Conference. Here's a turnover, though. Emmett Narr putting on the boosters.
Well, he got caught. I don't know why he's not looking to score. Look, I know you love to pass the ball, but you got to lay it, score it. He literally was looking behind him and to the side, and by the time he got caught to try to shoot the ball, it was far too late.
How that did not drop, Zach Celius will never know. from right up close and beating everybody back. Evan Fitzner, as Celius hit the deck hard.
They gotta stop the game.
And then it's thrown out of bounds off of Hermanson, but Celius slow to get up.
Well, if I'm Coach Rose, I'm looking at Celius, and I'm going to want him to take a seat for a second and just make sure the trainer takes a look at this. He falls over the top, and that is not a good look. I mean, it's a great look by our cameraman. Nice job on the baseline. But it's one of those things you don't want to see a player get caught up in the air like that.
Yeah, that was scary. And Zach Celius over to the bench.
And the other thing is when he got up, he kind of did the whole blinking of the eye thing. That usually means that, at least for that second, you're trying to gather your thoughts.
Meanwhile, Elijah Bryant with a great play along the baseline to throw it out of bounds off of Hermanson. So BYU has the possession. Down by 3, under 10 to go.
And you're asking why the crowd at St. Mary's booing. Well, they thought that should have been a foul going over the top like that. And by the way, they're right.
Bryant unable to hit from 3. I think I'm in agreement with you there, partner.
That's the first time tonight you've agreed with me, so that's good. I'm going to chalk that up. Can you please mark that, Mandy, in the truck? Mark it down. 9 minutes and 32 seconds left to go in the game. He finally agreed with me.
No, it's not. Here's the handoff to Nar from Landale. 11 points for Emmett Nar. Remember, had to leave the game for a spell after appearing to tweak his ankle. Still looks like he's favoring it to a degree.
Yeah, he can favor it to a degree for the next 9 minutes, and Randy Bennett will give him some time off to rest in between.
Here's Bryant. Challenges the bigs, got smothered up top. Nixon the follow, and that will draw the whistle.
Yeah, good job by Nixon, staying with the play. Bryant drove the contact. Both two guys collapsed on him. I thought there was contact underneath that they could have called. I thought Landale had it clean up top.
So Dalton Nixon to the line, a 72% free throw shooter. Knocks down the first. This week's NBA Saturday primetime game could be a finals preview. Who knows? Kyrie and the Celtics battling Steph, KD, and the Warriors. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern on ABC. You can always watch on the ESPN app. And interesting, you got Kyrie selected by LeBron in this new format for the NBA All-Star game.
KD also selected by LeBron. LeBron's team's better than Steph's. I don't know what Steph was doing. Steph got a bunch of shooters. I think the teams kind of reflect the captains. Steph was like, dude, I want all the guys that can shoot threes. LeBron's like, I want all the guys that can score around the rim and have versatility.
He probably would have picked up Jock Landale then if given the chance, as Landale throws it down with 2 hands. I know you scoff at the question about whether Jock Landale can play in the NBA or not, but how do you think his game translates as Childs goes up and under and draws the whistle?
Well, he's got great footwork. I mean, phenomenal footwork. We've seen that in this game. Little up and under moves. He's got good awareness. He walls up defensively, able to protect the rim, blocking shots. He's a better passer than the numbers actually indicate. He doesn't turn the ball hardly at all. I think he's very efficient in all that he does. I think it translates perfectly. And look, the NBA is about space, right? So is St. Mary's offense now. It's about space, and it's centered around one guy, and he's the linchpin to everything. I mean, they're the ones that they hooked up the trailer and say, all right, Jock, get to your spot, and we're going to go ahead and play around you and see what happens. He'll be making money next year.
What does it matter anyway? He's in line apparently to inherit about 5,000 acres of farmland back in Australia that's been in his family for generations.
Yeah, but you know what you could build on 5,000 land, 5,000 acres if you have an NBA contract? You can build whatever you want.
Here's Landale. They're going to try to repost him against Childs. And Landale wins that battle.
He's just so strong. His base is good. He's able to finish up over the top. Coach Rose doesn't like it because the body banging that is taking place.
20 points and 9 rebounds for Jock Landale. Now we're going to have a whistle away from the ball.
There you go, this last possession. Watch the banging underneath. You got a little elbow, and now you've got the shoulder going into Childs. That's what draw the attention of Coach Rose. He's not happy.
Forward to here Saturday, Big 12 SEC Challenge, Oklahoma versus Alabama at 2:15 on ESPN. Texas A&M and number 5 Kansas at 4:30. Kentucky and number 7 West Virginia at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Sean, I know you'll be at that A&M Kansas game. Shapes up to be a fun Saturday.
It's going to be an outstanding event, and you know it's always outstanding when you ever get to come home. I'm home right now from the Bay Area. And Jock Landale goes home. He gets to hang out on the farm.
Yeah, so this is in Deniliquin, Australia. He is in line to inherit from his father, Clive, about 5,000 acres of a farm that has been in his family for generations. And Jock saying that his teammates, they give him a hard time because one of his teammates, Emmett Narr, says, hey, I've known Jock since we were kids. I've been to his house. He grew up in the city. He is no farmer. I don't know why he was trying to sell that idea.
Sell whatever you got if you got 5,000 acres.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll be worried about those ATVs I saw in the picture, though. I'm Randy Bennett. No more ATVs, not for a while.
Yeah, someone's got to tend to those cows, too. Did you see that in the background?
I'm just hoping my parents leave me their palatial estate in Clayton, about 20 minutes away from here. Yeah.
Five to shoot. Landale will try a 3. He hits it! That is Jock Landale's first made 3 of the season. He's got 23 points. Here's a steal by Hermanson. Foot race with Hardnett. Hardnett with the quick hands. It is knocked out of bounds and stays here with the Gales.
Let's go back to that previous possession, though. Scouting report says 0.0% from 3. That just changed. Landale excited for it. You know, he heard us talking about the farm, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to knock down a 3-point shot, extend out this lead to 8 right now for the Gales.
He's got 9 rebounds to go with those 23 points. He is just a load, just a beast, as Yoli Childs referred to him as following the first meeting in December. Childs getting the better of him there, though. Bryant draws the whistle.
And comes straight downhill and attack. And Bryant, who's had that look a couple of times, that he hasn't gotten the call every single time. I think he should have. But that one he earned. And if I'm BYU, I remember what I did out of the break at halftime, and that was turning the corner and attacking the paint.
A foul on Hermanson. That is number 4, and Bryant to the line. You'll notice on that take by Elijah Bryant, he went off of the right foot. He says he still experiences some discomfort and pain in that left knee that caused him so many problems last season, and even had him contemplating whether or not he wanted to continue playing basketball at all. But obviously that has worked out well. But you'll notice when he takes it to the basket, he does not often go off of that left foot. He thinks about it. Lob pass, Landale from Narr. Gales by 8, 10 to shoot here for the Cougars. Cannon knocks it down. And a timeout taken by BYU.
Like Patty Mills, like Mickey McConnell, like Matthew Dellavedova, like Stephen Holt. Hey, put him in a pick and roll, make a play. Narr's one of the best in the country reading those situations.
Saturday on ESPN, it's the 5th annual Big 12 SEC Challenge. Freshman phenom Trae Young leads Oklahoma against Alabama at 2:15 p.m. At 4:30, Texas A&M takes on Kansas, and at 7, it's Kentucky and West Virginia. All 3 games are on ESPN and on the ESPN app.
I can't wait to get to Allen Fieldhouse for that game on Saturday against Texas A&M. A&M's got great size underneath, in particular Tyler Davis and Robert Williams. Kansas is all perimeter oriented. For A&M to have success, they're going to have to close out to 3 and then attack the offensive rebounds and find some second chance point opportunities.
Another monster evening here for Jock Landale. He has scored the last 9 St. Mary's points. 5-point game, though, under 5.5 to play. Fitzner gets his own rebound, and they'll reset.
Now, see, that's where Jock Landale's got to get better, though. He got that ball from 12 feet out. Nobody's in front of him, and he's looking to pass it back out to 30 feet away. Just go ahead and take that shot.
Here's Landale backing in on Childs, and he'll go to the free throw line.
That'll be Childs' 3rd personal foul. Remember, he had 2 in the first half. That's only his 1st personal foul in the second half. So Landale scored the last 9 points for the Gales, looking to add to that total at the free throw line.
Landale 2 for 2 from the line so far. Make it 3 for 3. The reigning West Coast Conference Player of the Week. 3rd time Landale has gotten the award already this season.
Remember, he had 31 and 13 in the first meeting. He's well on his way to trying to equal that here with 5 minutes left to go and already 27 points.
Childs with the up and under move. Left it short. Landale remaining vertical there, according to the officials.
I didn't think he was vertical. He fouled him. He was playing him to go over his left shoulder. When he went back right, he got into his body, and the officials didn't call it because his arms were straight up and down.
Wide open look for Fitzner. Got it. The San Diego kid.
They have so many weapons, does St. Mary's, and that's what a lot of what Jock Landale has had so much success is because you surround him with shooters, you space the floor, you hit, and you find a lead. It's now up to 10.
Back here at McEwen Pavilion, it is St. Mary's now tying its largest lead of the game, 66-56 over BYU, and Jock Landale notching a double-double.
He's just been so efficient in all that he does out on the floor. 27 points, 10 rebounds. The second half alone, he's 5 of 8 for 15 points. Look, you talk about the best players in college basketball, and if his name is not in the mix, and I mean early in that discussion, I don't think you're watching enough college basketball. Trae Young clearly has been phenomenal. Jalen Brunson from Villanova. Marvin Bagley from Duke. Now, after you get through those names, you can make a legitimate argument that Jock Landale should be in the discussion with his level of efficiency and all that he means to this St. Mary's team.
Bryant trying to roam into Landale. No whistle is blown. Bryant frustrated, visibly.
That's a
Gales control.
It's because it's a foul. And look, you give credit, and I just finished talking and telling you how great he is, but he's bodying up underneath. He keeps his arms straight. The officials are watching his arms. They're not watching his body.
Hermanson left it short. Rebound off the Hardnett.
The problem with that, too, is as a player when you're out on the floor, if you don't get that call, you stop going to that move, and that means that you're becoming less aggressive.
Hardnett off the mark. Rebound Landale, adding to his rebound total.
And now you're going to see a more deliberate pace by St. Mary's. They're going to look to get into that last third of the shot clock before they start to go.
Nar lob to Landale underneath. Got Childs up. the bruise, and the bucket.
Look at, again, the screen, the roll. Landale's going to get the WCC Conference Player of the Year award this year. It's like Tiger Woods back in the day at the Masters of the old Pebble Beach tournament when he won by like 15 strokes. They've already started the engraving process on the trophy. But Nar is going to be the all-time assist leader because he has Jock Landale to throw the ball to. And he just sets the table up. They complement each other so well.
Landale leading the West Coast Conference coming into the week in points per game, field goal percentage, and rebounds per game.
And so much we talk about Landale. How about Nar? He's got a double-double, and he's done it with assists.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been phenomenal. 11 assists on the game. I make it 12 assists and only 2 turnovers.
And that's on a bum ankle.
Well, you pass with your hands, not with your feet. That's soccer you're talking about. No.
That's going to be an offensive foul against Childs. And the frustration starting to expose itself here for BYU as Yoli Childs has fouled out of the game. "14 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists for Yoli Childs."
Well, and he's got to sit down because he's yelling at the official, and that's not going to end well for him. You can be frustrated, but you cannot go to the bench and yell. He is very lucky he did not get a technical foul there.
Five to shoot. Krebs lost it. Here's Bryant the other way.
To the rim.
He does just that. Goes off of the left leg, mind you, but a foul before the shot attempt. And that's going to be a foul on Hermanson. And so the 6'6", fifth-year senior.
Now, see, the officials aren't supposed to. They're not allowed to do this. The coaches this year. This is one of the points of emphasis. They're not allowed an extra timeout here. Randy Bennett has about 20 seconds to get his player in instead of doing the whole huddle and talk thing.
5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers. The line for Calvin Hermanson. And now Elijah Bryant going to the free throw line. Misses the front end. It's just what St. Mary's has done all year long. They will grind you out throughout the course of 40 minutes. They realize it is a marathon, not a sprint. Takeaway by Bryant. This is a sprint as he sets up Hawes. 3 on the way. Yes.
Great job in the open floor and a quick timeout by Dave Rose.
So timeout BYU. They trail by 10 with $1:30 on the clock.
St. Mary's loose with it the last couple of possessions, some turnovers, allowing runouts. Bryant got fouled, went to the free throw line the previous possession. This time you get a turnover and it's a 3-on-1 situation. The defense, BYU does such a good job digging into the post and trying to get that ball taken away. The 3-point shot from the outside by Hawes. Nobody there around him. And even if he missed, Bryant's probably getting the offensive rebound. Such a good, smart play by BYU.
No timeouts left for the Cougars. So with $1:30 left here, Sean, what are they trying to do?
Get stops. I mean, you're down by 10. So the one thing you could do is you're probably going to play out this possession. But you're also talking to your team right now, if you're Coach Rose, and saying, all right, when we start to foul, here's who we want to foul. Now, St. Mary's, good free throw shooting team. Overall, they shoot 77% as a unit. So the main thing is you want to try to up-tempo the game. You're going to extend out your pressure here a little bit, try to create some turnovers. We saw loose ball handling and some of the guys. You want to get the ball out of Emmett Nar's hands, and you want to make sure that Landale isn't scoring with easy dunks at the iron.
On the other side, what's Randy Bennett telling his guys?
Don't turn the ball over. Let them foul you. Get to the free throw line, and let's wrap this thing up and get out of our building.
St. Mary's looking to extend its win streak to 15 and remain unbeaten in West Coast Conference play.
The Gales ranked to the top 25 after beating Gonzaga. There'll be some teams looking for some marquee wins this weekend. South Carolina has won. They beat Kentucky. They won at Florida earlier this week. They got another opportunity against a ranked opponent in Texas Tech to try to make a statement victory for them. And Tennessee, a very good team that a lot of people have overlooked. And then Kentucky right now struggling a little bit, not ranked for the first time in 68 Associated Press polls.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable. You see the pressure by BYU.
They barely got that over. Good pressure that time by BYU. Now you play out the rest of the possession. You don't want to foul here and send them to the free throw line.
Cougars in need of a stop. Nar.
Hardnett, though, you just stay in front of him and contest the shot. He dove out of the way, and when you dive out of the way, it opened up a very clean, easy look from the free throw line for Nar, who's going to knock that shot down all day long.
71-59 St. Mary's.
Watch this, though, defensively. You're in good position. Why are you taking yourself out of that position? You're not a shot blocker. Contest the shot. Make it a tough two. Instead, you make it an easy two.
13 points, 12 assists for Emmett Nar. The assists 3 shy of his career high. He had 15 earlier in the season against Pacific. This is a St. Mary's team that a lot of people thought entering the season was definitely for real. They had the losses to Washington State and Georgia that knocked them out of the top 25, but then they were able to turn it on from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that took multiple losses in November during Feast Week. Purdue was one of them. How's that worked out for the Boilermakers? They're one of the best teams in the country. Nice shot, tough shot by Hawes.
Much needed shot there by TJ Hawes. He's got 15.
Again, Arizona took three losses during Feast Week.
Right.
They're pretty good. You know, they just lead the Pac-12 right now. So the Gales are a top 25 team. They were top 25 good even when they took those losses.
I mean, even last year, where they posted the highest win percentage in the program's modern history, tied the program mark for wins with 29. And hey, look, they had 5 wins all year, or 5 losses, I should say, all year, and 3 of those were to the Zags.
And they've already been able to get 1 win and the big one up in Spokane. And the second game will be coming up here February 10th inside this building.
Already sold out, by the way.
I can't wait.
Don't tell the fire marshal that night that there's a game going on. It's going to be packed in here.
The first college basketball game I ever saw in my life was in this building. It was LMU taking on St. Mary's, 131-110 your final score. It was just a couple of weeks before Hank Gathers passed away, that team with Bo Kimball. It made me fall in love with the game, and it's a fun environment, a special place. And the Gales have packed it, and Randy Bennett has certainly changed the perception of this program. And he's done it time and time again. It's why the university's made the commitment to him, and this top 25 team played like it. They were on the ropes. BYU came out of the locker room with a level of aggressiveness, and the Gales weren't ready for that right out of the gate.
Under 10 to shoot here on what could be St. Mary's final possession. Landale, a rare miss for him, gets the follow-up. That is now 32 points for Jock Landale.
Yeah, just unbelievable performance by one of the best players in the country.
And the final seconds ticking off the clock. And St. Mary's wins it running away, 75-62. Make it 15 straight victories for the Gales, tying the longest win streak in program history, and make it a 9-0 record in the West Coast Conference. BYU falls to 6-3 in league. Final numbers for Jock Landale: 32 points and 14 rebounds. As advertised, Sean.
Well, this team is as good as advertised. They consistently come out, and they know exactly who they are. They're true to their identity. Both these programs are. But St. Mary's knows exactly who they are, what they want to do, how they want to execute, and Randy Bennett has consistently recruited and been able to find the right type of players to make a difference.
32-14, not bad for a farmer. He's going to join us after this. Final score, St. Mary's over BYU, 75-62. That's now 15 straight wins for the Gales. Jock Landale, 32 points, 14 rebounds, and he now joins us courtside. Hey, not too shabby for a farmer there, John.
Exactly right. I think the parents will be proud of me tonight.
Talk about this team, though, the identity that you guys have. Emmett Nahr and the chemistry between the two of you. Look, he's going to break Delhi's record here, and a big part of that is because of your ability to finish. But you're having this success because of his ability to read the screens. How have you guys worked to continue to develop that relationship?
I mean, we just get used to each other during practice, and we kind of feed off each other and each other's energy. And it's not just us two. I mean, Emmett kind of makes the most of like using everyone on the floor, and I think he just does a great job of finding the right passes. And yeah, he's a hell of a player, so it's good for him.
Listen, I'm going to wait till these highlights are done because I want the country to see this. I think you're one of the best players in the country, and it goes without question. Your ability to space the floor, but this is what I want to talk about right then and there. Everybody says, hey, look, you're so good behind the basket. You just knocked down your first three-pointer of the season. How good does it feel?
I mean, honestly, I don't really like shooting them because I think it's so much easier for me to be on the block all the time. And I mean, if I shoot threes, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like I feel like I'm trying to make it a little bit too much about myself, and that's not what we're about. It's not what this team is about. So I get the job of sitting on the block all game.
Liked it. You liked it. Come on.
All right, I had a little bit of emotion
you came
afterwards.
out with this right afterwards, like
I got that out of Calvin's handbook, so
Okay,
I appreciate it, Cal.
What about that battle with Yoli Childs here tonight? Just take us through what that was like.
It's tough, man. He's a really good player. He's really strong, and I don't think he had his best night tonight, but he's going to bounce back, and he always does. He's a really great player, and it's always a challenge. Up at BYU, it was a challenge, and tonight it was a challenge. So it's a lot of fun playing against guys of that caliber, and hopefully we can get another one together at some point.
We heard that your coach from when you were 8 years old all the way till now was in the house here tonight. He's probably happy with your footwork.
Yeah, him and my sister are up top somewhere, and it's good to have him out. He flew in for literally 2 games, so it's commitment, but you know that's what Australians about. So
most importantly, happy Aussie Day.
Appreciate it. I just want to say to all my friends back home, the Denny boys, they've asked me to shout them out a couple times, so hopefully they can crack a few for me today because I definitely won't be. But cheers, boys.
Aussie, Aussie. Oi,
when you score over 30, you can give all the shout outs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Jock, great game tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Man.
Cheers.
All right, well, that will once again do it. 75-62, the final. St. Mary's over BYU. For Sean Parnham, I'm Kanoa Leahy. So long from Moraga, California.